Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. So we're coming to the end of our second week of shelter in place, stay at home, quarantine, whatever you want to call it, COVID-19 hideout. And I've been thinking about the path of the spiritual warrior, the spiritual practitioner. Good morning. And usually it means that we engage with things. We step into the intensity, including our fear, including our trepidation, including doubt, including all the things that point at fear and concern. We go forth anyways. And it's paradoxical right now because our engaging with this scary, unknown, turbulent, deadly scenario is to stay put, to sit quiet, to engage in a very different way. And so it's a big paradox, and I think it's the thing that makes it hardest. Like, some of us wish we could do more. I wish I could do more. And feeling like we're hiding out, but the hiding out is the thing to do. And the people who are ignoring social distancing rules and suggestions are doing the cowardice thing, in my opinion. They're doing the more dangerous thing. They're doing the thing that's going to hurt more people. And so once again, cultivating our capacity to stay with intensity. So this morning's class is going to be strong and purposefully going into places of challenge, shakiness, challenging our balance, challenging our strength and our ability to stay the course. So similar to last Saturday in that respect, we will probably, my plan is to get to some belly down, back bending a little sooner, and then probably go into some more challenging forward bends, perhaps some arm balances. So we'll see what happens. You will need probably a couple of blocks, a belt, and a blanket. Best if you've got a sliding surface. If you do not have a sliding surface, then we can make do. But if you've got a place where you can go and slide around, take your device with you and go there now. So let's please start with our mat folded in half lengthwise. So fold your mat in half lengthwise. That's a flax seed under my mat. And then have your blanket on the floor. If you're on a carpet, you probably won't need a blanket for this. But if you're on a smooth surface, have your blanket just where your feet are. So I'm going to put my feet on the hard floor surface, but the blanket's right there where I can grab it. And let's start with knees knocked together and feet wide. And you could choose to have hands on belly, or I'm going to choose arms up and out. And simply let the body land. I know it's early for some of you, earlier than it is here. And so you might be ready to really get going. I've been up for a few hours, so I'm going to take this pause and feel the breath. So something else that occurred to me when I was talking with one of my teachers, the breath. I've been offering a lot of deep breathing in my classes, putting pauses in. My yin class this last week was full of pranayama, and building the inhale with pauses and building the exhale with pauses, and taking a breath retention at the bottom of the exhale. In light of the COVID-19 virus, and knowing a few people now who have had it. And the story is, it's hard to breathe. It's scarily hard to breathe. And so I've been motivated since this little conversation, which was just a couple of days ago, to work with less breath, to work with small breath, barely breath, no breath. I'm just going to plant that seed for you guys, and I'm going to work with it. I probably won't speak much about it other than now, and then maybe some classes later this week. But I'm just dropping that seed in for you guys, like baby breath. What does it feel like to not have a lot of breath? And can I stay present and quiet and calm with not my biggest breath ever? So simply landing here, letting the body drop, let everything go quiet inside. So the soft beat of your heart might slow down. The gentle sway of breath in and out, if you let it, just gets real quiet and slow. In fact, there are sources, ancient sources, that talk about the key, the gem, the jewel of pranayama is the breath stops. I don't know about that, but it gets real thin, real silky. So just feel all the quiet spaces in your body just now. And if it's available to you, dropping in any capacity for gratitude for the quiet space in your home, or just your home or your shelter if it's not quiet, if it's not yours, the shelter that you have. The connection we all have with the internet these days that not everyone has, but those of us here have it. Gratitude for all the simple little things that get so easily overlooked. I invite you to waggle your feet so they're hip width. Knees are hip width. Interlace your hands behind your head. And with your inhale, arch the back. So just the head, back of head in your hands, and the back of your forearms, and your feet and your pelvis are on the floor. Make a tiny bridge with your spine. That's the in-breath. And then the exhale, drop the spine down, curl your head up, hug the elbows in, and scoop tail towards elbows. And really firm the front of the torso. And the next inhale, repeat, firm the back of the torso, from the back of your head to the back of your tail. And then exhale, curl from the forehead to the pubic bone. And again, so not just shortening on the longitudinal axis, but squeeze your shoulder blades together. And then when you exhale, then shorten the front body, wrapping the sides of the torso and the elbows around to the front. A couple more. So I'm taking a tiny breath here, and I'm just suspending the rest. You make your breath as big as you want. I'm working with baby breath in the interest of priming or preparing for what might be inevitable. And then the next time you curl up with both elbows over to the outside of your left leg. So both elbows to the left. Pause here. Left side is shorter. When you lay the torso back down, can you keep the left side shorter so that the right elbow reaches towards the direction your head was pointing? So you're side bending now to the left. Add the little back bend. And then the next exhale brings both elbows over to the right. So right side body is shorter, twisting right. Keep that side shorter. And as you lay the head and shoulders down, left elbow points to where the top of the head was. And add your back arch. So side bending, back arch, and then forward bending with the side bend over to the left, a little twist. So you're making a big X. Stay to the left. Lay the head and shoulders down, side bending to the left. Add the back arch. And then curl up and over to the right. We're going to keep it going. So you're making a big X. Stay to the right. Side bending to the right. Lay the torso down. Back bend. Curl all the way over to the left. Stay to the left. Lay down. Side bend. Back bend to the left. You're going to add a little bit more as you curl over to the right. Bring the knees in and touch the knees to the outside of your left elbow. And you keep the knees in the air as you lay the torso down, curled over to the right. And then you can tip the knees. Keep the legs right together, squeeze them together. Tip them a little bit to the left. How far you take them depends on you and your back. And then as you curl up, knees hug in over to the outside of your right elbow. Elbows are to the left. And then as you lay down, stay to the left. Back bend, side bend left, and tip the knees somewhat to the right. All you have to do is teach and talk at the same time, and you won't breathe very much. Both elbows to the right, curled in. Side bend to the right, tip knees to the left. I'm going to do a few without talking. If you need the visual, check in. So we're really going through all the movements of the spine: forward bending, twisting, side bending, back bending, side bending, back bending, and twisting, forward bending, side bending, and twisting. And then the next time you come back from your second side, which for me is now, take both legs straight up in the air. Use your hands if you need to. Otherwise, if your legs can stay there on their own, reach your arms past your legs. And try to bring your knees and your forehead together. You could certainly do this with bent knees. It's probably harder for different reasons. With your legs straight, you have the weight of your legs going over your head to help bring the head and knees closer. One more moment, maybe two. And then can we keep the legs straight up? Hands together in prayer, straight arms, and swing them over to the right. Try to touch your toes and then over to the left. And then try to touch your toes and over to the right. Your knees can certainly be bent. Pause when your both arms over to the left. Lower the right leg towards the floor. And then swing the right leg up as you try to touch your toes. And as you reach your arms to the right, try to lower your left leg to the floor. And continue. And continue. Two more to each side. One. And one. And two. And two. And release everything to the ground. Catch the blanket with your feet and slide your legs long. If you're not on a smooth surface, then simply slide your legs long. And I'm going to rest my hands on my belly and soften into no thing. I'm not going to try to deepen the breath. Just going to let it be normal. I'm actually going to resist a little bit that feeling of the need to breathe in deep, just out of curiosity, potential planning. From here, if you're on a sliding surface, follow me. If you're not on a sliding surface, simply step your feet under you. And everyone grab onto the end of your mat. We folded our mat in half, so I'm curling my fingers under it and pushing my arms straight. So I've got some resistance here with my arms. Sliding surface people, slide the blanket towards you with your feet on it. And float your hips up just a little bit, a couple of inches. Start conservatively and simply slide the blanket away from you and then pull it back under you with your feet. Slide it away and pull it back. So those of you who are not on a sliding surface, what I recommend is you, one leg at a time, step 2 inches forward and then step 2 inches back. So I'm doing it now on my blanket. So little movements, small movements, in the interest of shortening the hamstrings, tightening the hamstrings, strengthening your hamstrings. So either stepping baby steps forward and back if you can't slide, or sliding the blanket to and fro. 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 1. Here's where you're going to want to grab your belt, shoot your 2 legs up in the air, and loop your belt over it. Any robe belt or black belt from karate that you don't use anymore, any strappy kind of tie will do. And can you keep your pelvis on the floor? Pelvis on the floor. So almost like stick your butt out behind you and then pull your feet towards you. I personally don't need the belt, so I'm going to bypass the belt and grab my feet. Not everyone can do that. One more breath here. Try to unfurl your tail towards the belt, and then we're going to do it again. So either little baby steps, little baby stepping bridge, or slider bridges for 10 seconds. 9, 8, and 7, and 6, and 5, and 4, and 3, and 2, and 1, and hips down, legs up. Catch with your belt or your hands, both legs to start. And then holding the right foot only, bend left knee, put left foot on floor. Sole of left foot stays on the blanket, so foot on blanket or your carpet if you're on carpet. And sliding that left foot, keeping the foot flat on the floor, sliding it with the blanket or on the carpet until the leg is as straight as it can be without the toes popping up off the floor. Eric Schiffman calls this the 2/3 position. So from this 2/3 position, keeping the toes, left toes pointed as much as you can, slowly, slowly push the rest of the leg straight. Slow and long. Still holding the right foot. I'm transitioning to belt now because it's getting a little harder for me. And then the left leg down there, whether it's on the floor, carpet, or on your blanket, you slide it to the right some, so adduct, and then slide it out to the left, and then slide it in over to the right. Squeeze, hug that adductor muscle, and then out to the left, and then over to the right. Pause with the left leg squeezed over to the right. One more moment here. Can we keep the belt in your left hand. Keep your right foot in your left hand and slowly take the right leg to the right. Let it peel your left shoulder and your left ribs up off the floor, but keep your left butt cheek on the floor. And if you do those things, you might get a little extra sensation down the front of your left leg, maybe a little bigger psoas releaser deep in the left low belly. So it's Supta Padangusthasana 2 with this little variation of the left arm holding the right foot. It's very intentional. So it curls the left side of your torso over, and you try to keep the left butt cheek down. Now, bring back in your left foot. A-B duck that leg. Now swing it more to the left. 1 or 2 more breaths. And then as you're ready, both legs come back to the center, feet on the blanket or the floor. Remember, if you have a slidey surface, use your blanket. If you have carpet, just feet on carpet. Hips up. You're either doing baby steps forward and backward, both feet if you've got carpet. It's not quite as effective, but it's something. Otherwise, you're sliding the blanket out and in. And I'm going big. I might make it look easy. You might just do teeny tiny, just a few inches. And if you get cramping, that's great. It's a good sign that you're touching underutilized muscles if you're hydrated. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and hips down, both legs up. Use your belt, catch your feet, or use your hands, both legs straight. Pelvis on the floor. Free the right foot, keep a hold of your left. Put the right foot on the blanket or your carpet. Pause. Right foot stays flat to the floor as you slide the leg longer, either with the blanket or on your carpet. And you pause when those right toes are about to peel up off the floor. Pause. And keeping the right toes reaching, pointing, leading the charge to straighten more of that right leg. And I'm transitioning to a belt now. I vote we keep the right toes pointed and simply work here. Simply work here and find the capacity to engage your left thigh against this perhaps very intense feeling of lengthening through the back of the leg. If it's too intense, it doesn't do anyone any good. The nervous system is just bracing. So you could back the sensation off. I highly recommend not going for a big ass stretch. It's not great, really. There's science behind that, and I'm happy to share it with you if you want to private message me later. Right leg adduct, so squeeze it to the left, and then abduct it. And then squeeze it to the left, and then sweep it to the right. You're either sliding it on your carpet, or you're sliding that blanket along your slidey floor. Hopefully you don't get an outer hip cramp. If you do, again, a good sign you're in uncharted waters. Next time you slide the right leg over to the left, pause. Pause right there. Put your left foot in your right hand, or put your belt in your right hand. And keep your right butt cheek on the ground as you slowly let that left leg sweep over to the right. And it peels up the right side ribs. Try to keep your right pelvis heavy. Try to keep the right leg squeezed over to the left for another 5 or so beats here. And breathe through the length and the depth of your right low belly, right pelvic half. And when you're ready, once again, brain in the right leg, that's the leg you can't see, probably. Swing it to the right, abduct it. And get a lot of reach between the 2 feet. And then when you're ready, bring it all back home. Both feet on the floor, right under your knees. Bring the blanket with you. And then legs right together, feet right together, knees right together. And I think that you could do this on carpet, right? Slide the feet to the right and then away from you and then to the left and then to the right. So you're making a big circle with your feet. Inner edges of big toes are together, knees are together, inner thighs are zipped up together, and the feet stay flat to the floor. And sweeping a big circle. Let's go the other way. Big, big circle. So you're rolling like from right SI joint to left SI joint. You could make the circle spiral into a smaller little coil if you like. how much you let your lumbar change shape when the feet go away from you. If you let the lumbar really lift, you might resist that, work a little bit more deep front muscles. Let's say 30 more seconds, so maybe you go back the first direction. Just using this to cultivate some inner thigh magnetism, some outer hip malleability, and deep low belly integration is what I'm feeling. And then stretch both legs long. Sweep your 2 arms overhead. Point and flex your feet. And then shove the blanket sort of out of the way. Catch the backs of your knees, rock on up. And you cross your ankles in front of you and use that cross of the ankles to turn around. Hands on floor, straddle your mat and unfold it. And then let's start with a wide-legged forward bend. I'm going to get on my mat, feet wide, hands right under shoulders. Grab your blocks if you need them. And feeling the outer edges of the feet. So I got knees quite bent here. Like I call this front lineman asana. Like you're the front lineman on a football team. Ready, hut, 10 hut, whatever it is. Hut. So outer feet heavy, ball mounds dug in, heels really firmly planted. And then with both knees bent, inviting the right leg to straighten. And then rebend it. And then the left leg to straighten. So now lengthening those inner thighs a little bit with strength. Rebend, right leg straightens. So can you push with the outer leg, and then when you rebend it, pull with the inner leg. Outer left leg pushes the leg straight like karate chop, hi-ya. Inner left leg pulls it back to a bent leg. And I'm just going to keep my hands in the middle and go right to left here. So the slowness and the returning to both knees bent gives me a little bit more juiciness in my thighs, a little more blood flow, a little more work. Left knee is bent. Look at the right foot. Can you spin the toes to point up and reach for the floor directly to the right, so the edge of your mat, and then walk your hands around. Come onto the ball mound of the left foot. Now we're in a lunge. Pause here in the lunge. Catch your block, one of your blocks, and can you put it on its tall side, under the hip. Then I'm going to tip it at an angle, so I can lower the left thigh down onto the top surface of that block. My knee is not on the floor. Hands on the inside of my right foot. Both hands are on the inside of my right foot where they've been the whole time. And then reach the 2 knees away from each other. And try to point your tail like straight back. Your tail is probably sort of in love with either your right sit bone or your left sit bone. Can you sense that? And can you reach your tail straight back? And when you exhale, feel the tail scoop a little bit more straight ahead towards the navel, maybe towards your pubic bone, and lift the heart. I'm going to take the left knee back more. It's tipping the block more. I'm just working more distance between my knees. It's not easy, actually. I got a little shakiness going, a little instability coming online. I'm going to try to stay the course. Our transition is going to be back to wide-legged front lineman asana. So you can lift the left knee, the block will drop, turn your 10 toes, both knees bent, 10 hut, and then straighten your left leg, Spin the left toes to point up. Walk your hands around. Come onto the ball mount of the right foot. Both hands on the inside of the left foot. A little to and fro here before you grab the block and set it up. So on its tall end underneath the hip, back leg hip, right hip, tip it on a diagonal, catch that thigh bone. Let the thigh bone land. Two knees repel. They're like reaching as far away from each other as possible. Tail trying to find that middle way. Tail not loving right sit bone, not loving left sit bone, but keeping an tail is socially distancing between the two sit bones as best as it can. Ha ha ha. And now I'm reaching a little more right knee. Back and back and back and down. I'm just settling in here and feeling into small, shallow breath. If you just joined in, I talked about how when people get sick with this virus, they can't breathe. So I've been working with low breath, small breath, tiny breath, barely breath. How does that feel? Can I include this too? Can I keep my sanity? Can I keep a sense of presence even when I can't breathe so well? Lift the right thigh, walk the hands around to the front, set the block aside. Slowly gather your feet right under you. I'm just heel toeing my feet right together. And then soften the knees. Come rolling on up. Come rolling on up. Swing the arms wide. Take the arms up and release the fingers. Release the index finger. Rocket ship asana. Go up. So the first reach through the fingers, let that pull the shoulder blades up. Let the shoulder blades then pull the ribs up. Let the ribs then pull the spine up. Spine pulls hips. Hips pull legs. Legs pull feet. Tiptoe maybe. And there's a big difference between swinging the weight forward into the toes to come up versus what I invited you to do, which was to reach up. I'm falling. Reach up from the fingers. I'll try it again. Lower your heels down. You can reinterlace the fingers the other way. Reach up so much you feel it penetrate the plumb line. And then can the reach simply pull the heels up? You need a very deeply integrated center. Then stay up, bend the knees, and lift them. The knees lifting lifts the heels, so the heels could not be further from the floor. And you say down, and down, and down, and down, and down. And then lower the heels down, and then bring the hands to the heart. And from here, landing so light, no one could hear you, hop the feet apart. I wasn't that light actually. Then externally rotate your right leg. Internally rotate your left. Triangle pose to the right. So soften your knees. The block might be handy here. I like to work the back legs bent longer. So while straightening the front leg, if you can pull that outer hip flesh back. So a lot of distance from your right big toe mound to the outer right hip, a big spiral. Then in time, as you're ready, straightening that left leg, but inviting the straightening of the left leg to really tap, touch, open that front of that left hip. My left hand's just on my hip, squeezing left shoulder back. One more moment here. Left arm either up to sky or all the way overhead as a continuous line of length from your left foot. And then, oh, can you look at that left hand? And staying eyes in contact with left fingers. All at once, bend right knee, roll left torso down, both hands down, back to your lunge. Please step the right foot back and then take the left leg back and up in the air. Soften your right knee a lot. Bend the left knee a lot. Hips are still square in theory here. And if you keep an eye on that right knee, can you turn the left hip open? Can you swing the whole pelvis around that right thigh bone and not have the right knee spin or lean or sort of hug the midline? Can you keep the right knee pressing to the right, turning to the right, reaching to the right? And then from here, left foot comes down, plank pose. Plank pose, pause. Pause, pause, pause. Belly and the line from like your pubic bones, the pubic symphysis to your navel, to your breastbone, to the back of your throat. Draw that up. Draw that front center line up and spread the back body wide. Keep that as you lower down. Elbows bend. You can come all the way to the floor. Breastbone and pubic bone touch at the same time. Scooch back so you can see me. And then press the tops of the feet down. Just bring the forehead down. A few landmarks. Forehead to the floor. Pubic bone to the floor. And let everything between forehead and pubic bone gather. So deep front, wide back. And then from pubic bone, bring your awareness all the way to the tops of your feet. Tops of the feet and pubic bone and forehead like the heaviest things. Between tops of feet and pubic bone, gathering, lifting. That's thighs, knees. From pubic bone to forehead, everything gathering, lifting. Belly, throat. Can you keep that? And then reach the bridge of your nose forward and up. So bridge of nose going up doesn't mean you have to send the chin forward, but you're looking forward. And you come up as much as you can, keeping really gathered front, from throat to pubis, from pubis to fronts of ankles. Keep reaching bridge of nose up, and then use your hands as much as you can, as much as your back lets you, to keep taking bridge of nose up. Still gathering thighs, still engaging knees, still pressing feet down. And then maybe bridge of nose goes up higher, arms on fire, tuck toes, plank pose, down dog. Wow. Right foot steps between the hands, walk hands around to the left. Look forward, straight legs, breathe in, fold down. Slide the hands back so they're maybe in line with your heels. Then you punch the hands, press the hands down into the floor. Lift your navel towards your tail, fold in half. And then soften your knees and come rolling on up. Arms wide, externally rotate your left leg. Turn your right leg in, both knees stay soft. Side bend, and if you can get that head to tail perspective, it's like tip the whole thing to the left. And the pelvic calves, they spiral. Feel that right hip wrap forward a little bit. Feel the left hip wrap back. Let that happen. Turn the pelvic calves with the legs, and then eventually you straighten that left leg. Heavy in the big toe mound side, and then pull that outer left hip way over to the right. Right knee is still bent for the time being, and as I flirt with, engage with, begin to straighten the right leg, I want to concentrate the most lengthening aspect from the straightening of the leg through the front, side hip, anterior-lateral, front side hip. Right shoulder wraps back. head and tail, sweeping straight line on the horizon. Maybe right arm to sky. Should be easy enough. Shoulders stacked. A little harder is going to be to take that arm all the way overhead, line it up against the side of your ear and cheekbone, and then, oh, look at it. Hello, right fingers, I love you. And then turn that whole right side of you down. Bring right hand down, bend left knee, ball mound of left foot. Lunge pose. I don't remember what we did on the first side. I don't think we stayed here very long. Then we stepped the left foot back and lifted the right leg up in the air. Can you keep your hips square? So when you take that right leg up in the air, don't turn the hip open if you can help it. Not as a matter of habit. We're going to do it in a minute. Right? But bend the left knee a lot. Bend both knees a lot. Notice which direction your left knee is pointing. Hopefully like towards your left elbow. Don't let that change. But can you swing the pelvis around that left leg? Turning the right hip open. And then maybe you straighten that left leg, but that left knee is still pointing straight ahead. And then as the right leg comes down, plank pose. Lift up through the midline of your body. Bridge of nose forward. So can you feel like an updraft underneath you from ankles to inner thighs, to pubic bone, to navel, to breastbone, to throat, up, 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 up. Even as you lower down, maybe hover, chaturanga, up dog this time. Bridge of nose to the sky, and then maybe eyes to the sky. Back to down dog. Step your right foot forward up between your hands and both legs straight. Here's where you might need your two blocks, one in each hand. So you can grab them, and then could you keep an eye on your pelvis? Keep your two eyes, so I got cat spine here, looking at my pelvis. And as we spin the left heel to the floor, can you squeeze your left butt cheek so the hip doesn't turn open? I'm going to back my right foot up towards it a little bit. So the two heels are on a line, left leg is turned out, and the hips are straight ahead. Bring your hands to your hips and come on up. Take left arm forward and up, and then right arm back and up. Not easy. So it's a standing twist with your legs asymmetrical on the midline. And then bend the left knee, back knee, reach through right arm more. Straighten back knee, left knee, bend front knee, and reach left arm more. So left foot to left hand, long, long, long. Straighten right leg, bend left leg, and then right hand to right foot, long, 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 long. And then left side again, long, 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 long. And then right side again, long, 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 long. And then both hands to hips, turn forward. Squeeze the 2 feet towards each other to turn the left hip forward. And how about catching your hands under your belly like a strap or a sling or a hammock, and lift up as you fold over it. Your blocks are still there for you, I bet. I bet. Keep folding face towards toenails with that sling under your belly, with that hoist under both hips. Right hip too is going back and back and back. I'm going to add a twist here. I'm going to add revolve triangle. So left hand can stay where it is, or it can be on the foot or cross over. And then from right foot to right hand, get long. Right arm goes up in the air. From left hand to left foot, get long. Left hand plunges into the earth. Big time. I remember hating this pose. I remember thinking this pose was an impossible pose back in the 80s. I've come a long way. Bend the right knee. Plank pose. Pause and hold. Tuck your chin, look back at your feet. Can you tip both heels to the right? So outer right foot, inner left foot. Keep that left arm to the sky. Push the floor away with your right hand. Make the legs really strong. Left leg's hugging into the earth. Right leg is pressing against the earth. Left hand comes down. Ball mounds of both feet, both heels to the left. Legs straight, feet sharp. Right arm up. And you might be able to hear my dog grooming himself. He's right next to the phone, just licking away. Right hand down, plank pose. Chaturanga or belly down. Lift that front midline. Bridge of nose up. Reach up, go up. Keep the front midline deep and wrap the back body around it. Deep front, wide back. And then back to down dog. Yeah, left foot steps forward. Straighten both legs. Your blocks are probably still there. Use them. Use your blocks. Hands on blocks. And then compact the outer hips. Sort of squeeze the outer hips into the midline. Look at that right hip. And then can you simply turn the leg and drop that right heel towards the midline without the hips turning? I need to shorten my distance between my feet a little bit. Ideally, between your two heels is the length of one of your legs, so it's like an equilateral triangle. And then torso up. You have to really keep wrapping that right hip forward and down. I think I'm still a little too long in my stance, so I'm shortening it a little bit. Then left arm back and up, right arm forward and up. Let's bend the back knee, that's the right knee, and reach more through the left. Left side long, 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 long. And then straighten the right, bend the left. Reach right side long, 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 long. And then left side again. With the support of the right, and then right side again with the support of the left. And then as you straighten the spine and straighten the legs and come back to center, hands right at the low belly, just above the hip crease, and lift up and go up and over as you go forward and down. And there's your blocks, catch your blocks, or hands on floor. And keep taking that left hip crease back. Keep taking your left butt back. And come on down. Hello, left leg. I love you. Revolve triangle. When and if you're ready. And the key, I think, one of the keys is the bottom hand, right hand in this case, has to really plunge down. You have to keep pushing down, rooting down, anchoring down through the right hand, and use that to sort of make a buoyant, buoy up your right ovary. Even the guys out there, that low right belly, buoy it up, maybe left arm to sky. That's quite hard. You have to have a lot of twist in the torso, and then when you're ready, both hands down. Step back. And you could drop your knees in cat-cow here. You could drop your knees and rest. Meditate on your deep front midline, whether you're going through the flow of both dogs or not. Okay, knees down. Keep your toes tucked under and release your hands behind you. Just pause here for a sec. If this is absolutely unbearable, understandable, you could take a block on its tall side and you could put it between your feet and sit on it with your hips. This puts a little less weight on your toes. There's a few ways you could address the toe intensity. You could put the block under your knees. That's probably not as supportive, but somewhat supportive. Hands interlaced behind, tuck those double interlaced fists to the right waist, and then take the right ear to the right shoulder. And little nodding of yes with the right ear to the right shoulder, and a little no nodding with the head tip to the right. And then the other side. All right, and if it's simple intensity in the feet, see if you can endure. If it's dangerous or painful, do not endure. But if it's simply uncomfortable, can we include it in our current sort of renouncing of doing the comfortable, habitual thing and staying the course? Right, there is a time to discuss the difficult, uncomfortable, ugly, scary, deadly realities of our life, right? And when and how and with whom we do that is personal, but I think we should all be doing it. So what a beautiful place to start, right here, right now. Release, both hands down, down dog. See, it's not so bad. Not a big deal. Walk your hands back to your feet. Catch your two blocks, or actually your blocks are at the front of your mat. So put one block on its flat side, right? And then maybe come into tippy finger down dog. And can you step your right foot up on that block? And the answer might be no. So then you have to bring your left knee down and then swing your left foot up there. What I'd like to do is a long lunge. So right shin vertical. And that left knee is back. So imagine one straight line between your two knees. From right knee to left knee. A straight diagonal line going down. Press the top of your left foot into the floor like a great big flipper. And then try to reach those left toes back. So your left leg is like pushing the mat back and almost pushing the weight of the body forward. And I want you to feel like there's some muscular engagement in the back of your left leg. Let's take the left arm up, way up, and find as much length through your left side as possible via reaching up. You could add a little side bend to the right, and here's where your other block might come in handy. Put that block underneath your right hand and side bend to the right. Adding a little twist, you can bring left elbow to the outside of your right knee. Bring the block that's in your right hand with you. Put it between your two hands on its flat side and push both hands into the block. Reach right sit bone towards right heel. Reach left toes into infinity behind you, and top of the head is the counter reach to those left toes. One more breath, 2 more breaths, 12 more breaths, you decide. And then from here, keep hold the block with your left hand, put it down on the floor next to the block under your right foot, tuck your right toes under, and then you can put both hands on blocks as you step the right foot back. Hands on blocks, dog. Swing shoulders forward, hands on blocks, plank. Lift that front midline, hollow it into the deep back. Deep front, wide back. Chaturanga is not quite as low. You're much higher. And then up dog is going to be a little more fun because your arms are a little bit longer. back to the down dog. And then the block that's in your left hand, slide it in front of your left foot. And now it's maybe easier with your right hand on the block to step that left foot onto the block that your left hand was on. Lower the right knee down. Untuck the right toes. Maybe place the extra block over to the left. One long diagonal line between your two knees. And bring your torso up. Reach those right toes back. Feed the right toes back like you're shoving the mat back with your right shin. And that will likely nudge weight forward into your left foot. Right arm up. Find the connection, right fingertips to right toes, and reach it longer. Grow it longer. Maybe left hand holds the block, the free block over there on the left side of you. And you could side bend to the left here in the interest of further lengthening that right side. When we transition to a twist, you're going to have to lengthen left side. Right, so when you bring that right elbow around, lift up out of that left waist. Tuck that right elbow to the outside of that front knee, and both hands sandwiching the block on its flat side. Push both hands in the block. Aim left knee straight ahead. Turn the spine. Head and right foot are having a race. Who can get the furthest from the center? Keep the block in the right hand, step it down. As you step left foot back, right hand takes that block. Hands on blocks, dog. You could just drop your knees and chill. You could cat-cow. You could hands on blocks, flow. Chaturanga's different, right? It's higher up. Don't go too far down. It's tempting. Okay, this time, handstand block, step right foot forward, and that same inquiry of turning the left leg out, but not turning the hips. Warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. Two heels in a line, left toes turned out, bring one of your blocks up with you. Keep your right knee quite bent. And holding on to the sides of the block, so the block as its wide face open, and then catch the wide side of the block behind your head. Behind your head, it's touching the tops of my shoulders, elbows real close. Bend into your right knee and take your elbows to the sky. Elbows to the sky, head falling back into the block, sinking into the front knee, rooting the tail, squeezing your right sit bone, right glute rather, around your right sit bone. One more moment here. Can you shoot the block straight up and reach the block straight out in front of you and launch onto that right foot like you're going to put that block on a shelf in front of you. Left leg back and up. One or two more breaths here. I don't have enough space in front of me, so I'm going to put the block down and put my hands on the wall. Vira 3 for one more moment. And then land left foot back behind you, both blocks under your hands. Down doggy. Hands on blocks. Plank pose, hands on blocks. Lift that deep front, spread that wide back, keep it in chaturanga. Keep it in up dog. And reach the heart up. Slide the heart up through the tunnel of the deep front. And then back to the down dog. I'm going to back up so I got more room. Left foot steps forward. Spin right heel to the ground without turning the hips open. Bring one block with you as you bring your torso up. Get your legs set up, squared away, rooted down, organized for warrior one. Facing your left foot. Hands on the second wide side, just like before. So the face of the block can come behind your head and hug your elbows in, like squeezing your own head. And as you take the elbows up, more weight in your left foot. Keep reaching back through the right foot. From the tail straight down. Take your nose and the front teeth straight up. Arms up with the block, and then present the block forward. And as if you're going to plug that block into a shelf, reach it straight ahead. Virabhadrasana 3 for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And reaching the right foot back and down, both hands on blocks. You could just pause, kneeling, child's pose, cat-cows, or both dogs, whatever serves you best. And we'll meet in standing kneeling. Meet in standing kneeling. So, I'm going to have you catch a block on its flat side and hug it right into your belly. Actually, what if it was on its narrow side? And you're drawing it right into your belly with the idea that this is a reminder of that deep front and the wide back. And so I'm going to gently press the block, gently, into my belly and invite a sense of widening the back body around it. In the interest of keeping a neutral spine, head in one line with spine and hips and thighs and knees, one unbroken line and this little Bandha block reminder. Then can you, and you might watch first, lean the whole line from head to knees back. That means I'm bending my knees. And then unbend them so they're back to 90 degrees. So you bend the knees some, lean back, and then come up. It's hard. It's a thigh strengthener. It's a knee lower quad strengthener. So if your knees are objecting, then this is not the move for you. There's other moves that probably need to happen first. So just testing how much can you lean back, keeping the head, spine, hips, legs to knees straight. One straight line. So you're not back bending yet. Definitely not forward bending unless you need to sort of take the edge off. And if you have to keep taking the edge off, I recommend you find a different edge to work with. You don't have to keep taking the edge off. Thigh strength. Maybe go back and hold for a breath or shorter or longer, and then come up. And then again. Okay, one more. It's hard. I'm going to check the time. Oh, it's been an hour. I'm going to try to wrap it up here now. So, come to belly down. And depending on how happy of a back bender you are, you might want Sphinx pose or after. I'm going to put my elbows and my rib cage up on my blocks. If you don't love back bending, then just put your elbows and your belly on the floor. The push down of the elbows and the push down of the tops of the feet. Remember when we were laying on our stomachs and I had you connect with some landmarks of downward moving energy and everything else is going up? So elbows and tops of feet down, but you're lifting low belly, you're hugging back gently solar plexus, drawing the heart up. So deep front, wide back still remains. From here, I can just put my left fingertips on the floor in front of me. Squiggle the legs more together. And if bending the right knee is an easy thing to do here without swinging the knee out, if you can keep the knees pretty well close, finding more weight on the outer edge of your front thigh, can you grab it from the inside and pull the foot towards your bum? How much you do that's up to your knee. Some people out there know this Ardha Bhekasana move. So I'm going for Ardha Bhekasana. And the right side rib cage is reaching around towards those blocks. So the blocks now serve as a landmark for the right side ribs to reach for. Keep pushing left elbow down. It's not that easy. Ardha Bhekasana. There I go, defaulting to big breaths again. I'm going to try to remind myself to work with teeny tiny breath. What's that like? Can I get enough? Let's switch sides. If you need to come undone and do something totally different in between sides, that's reasonable. The ideal scenario is you don't push so far that you have to come undone to get balance. So gathering legs to the midline, right fingertips brace on the floor. It's easier if you don't have height under your elbows. And bending left knee, can you get on the outer edge of your front thigh, left side, so the foot itself is leaning to the left rather than leaning to the right. And reach around with your left hand, grab that foot from the inside if you can. And this might be just where you're at, arms just sort of pulled back by holding on to that foot. That's fine. Keep trying to turn left ribs forward. Eventually, there may be some capacity to pull the foot towards the hip. Left heel towards outer left buttock. And then left ribs wrapping forward towards the blocks for about 30 seconds or so here. And gently releasing, gently releasing. What I recommend from here is big exhale, bend both knees, exhaling hips up, and then straighten your legs to elbow plank. Might be elbow plank on the blocks, might be elbow plank on the floor. Deep front, wide back. And you might get clear feedback if you lost that phenomenon. If you lost the deep front wide back in your half frog, Ardha Bhekasana, then this was a hard transition. If you kept deep front wide back, it's not a hard transition. Knees down. Have just one block now to land your solar plexus on. So upper abdomen, ribs. If you hate it, don't do it. In fact, you could drape your blanket over it so it's a little less punchy, a little less firm. And then both feet. This time you catch from the outside. Ideally, knees don't splay. And if you reach the heels up first, that can help with any sense of compression in the back. It can help. Right, so does the deep front wide back. So gather the navel back, wrap the outer hips towards the front body. If all's going well, reach the toe tips to the sky and try to push your shins back, straightening your legs. They will never straighten, probably, but try. going to down dog from here. Slow transition. One more. Either repeat what we did or go back to the Sphinx or a little deeper yet. This time the block, and I have a full bladder, so I'm not sure how well this is going to go. Might have a most embarrassing live Facebook moment. I'm pretty sure that won't happen, but I may not stay that long. So the block's going to go pretty much where your bladder is. So what has to happen here is pelvis is not, my pubic bone is like on the floor barely on the floor. And then I need to use one hand to help get me up to catch one foot. Now this foot I'm going to kick back to keep me up, and then the hand catches the other foot. Same deal. And deep front lets the block be received into the belly. So as goodness for me. Hamana, down dog. Maybe both dogs, if you just can't help yourself. Yum. A couple of choices, either child's pose from here, if you need it. If you don't need it, just sit on your heels. If you can, sit in between your heels. If your knees don't let you sit between your heels, do not be pushy with your knees. They're so good to you. Be super nice to them. From here, you maybe go back. Not everyone can. You got two blocks, you can build little scaffolding. Something like this, right? You can put the block on their second sides, one under your spine, one under your head. If you don't need them, you could just land on your elbows and pause. If you're on your elbows, reach your tail toward everyone. Reach your tail towards your knees. Reach your sit bones towards your knees. Pull the back body flesh down towards your knees. Maybe you come to shoulders, but it's few and far between that people can do this. So you find your edge, you find your edge, you find the edge that's right for you, and you work there even though it's uncomfortable and sucky and hard, and maybe you get bored, maybe you want something else. Sound familiar? Deal. How can you deal? How can you rise above the everyday push and pull of little desires around inconsequential things and honor the big picture of impermanence, of interconnectedness? And for this whole thing to work, we've got to love one another. Let it just start right here. Can I love this too? Can I include this too? All right. Up we come. Down dog is next. Unfold the knees. Refold the hips. Refold the ankles. And then bring your knees down. Bring the left knee actually forward, more like a pigeon. And can you sit down behind that left shin? So we're back in this Z seat that some people call it, or like back knee bent and pigeon. And what I'd like to do is Keep the back knee soft and casual. Open the front knee a little bit. So let's say the left shin and the right thigh are parallel to each other. And then can you bring your heart towards your left foot? And I'm simply letting the weight roll on my outer left hip, like forward towards the sit bone, and then backwards towards the sacrum. So I'm doing a little toggling towards and away from the foot. And if you lean enough to the left, you can straighten that right leg out in front of you and drop that right bem. Same shape with the left leg, but the right leg is now out and straight, and you're on the back of the leg. I threatened, I said we might do some arm balances. We're not gonna, it's not gonna be enough time, but maybe tomorrow. Nope, Sunday's off, maybe Monday morning. From here, sitting up, bringing that left foot with you all the way around to the outer right hip. So left knee on top of right knee. Left leg's like cow face, Gomukhasana. Right leg's like Paschimottanasana, straight out in front of you and come on down. So this tends to be more about the straight leg lateral hamstring than it does about the top leg hip, although it might be about your hip. And let's just soften here. Unwind the back bend. Enjoy the wide back, deep front. Torso up. As you pluck that left leg off, bend the right knee, and then place the left leg sort of behind you in that casual knee bend. So like pigeon but back leg bent, or the Z seat. Your legs make like a Z shape. And then head, heart towards right foot. That was my dog rearranging himself. And then yawning. Have you noticed when you stop? I have noticed, I'm going to make it a nice statement. When I stop and gaze at something, some being, someone that I love, and just lovingly gaze at them, how deeply it gladdens my heart. And that is still true. It could be a picture of someone or the idea of someone. Lean enough to the right that you can free up the weight off that left leg to stretch it long. Flip it over so the toes point up. It's straight out there to the left. And you're still folding over, heart and head towards right foot. So it's like half of butterfly, the yin pose, or the yang pose is called Tarasana. So Ardha Tarasana. And when you're ready, bring that right leg all the way up and around over to the left side. Stack right knee on left knee. Both sit bones ideally on the ground, and then straight forward towards those left toes. This side's very different for me. So taking your time and honoring the felt sense of the current phenomenon. And if you have a strong habit of twanging that big toe back towards you, I'm talking about your left toes there. If you're always hiking that left big toe back towards you, I'm going to recommend not doing that for a long time. In fact, can you not only point that left toe away from you, but maybe peel the pinky toe back towards you, big toe away, pinky toe towards, and maybe even using your own hand to curl that left toe away from you. If you want more information on that phenomenon, you can private message me, or maybe I'll talk about it next time. And then from here, bring your torso up, bring your right leg with you. Can you bend your left knee so it's just casually in front of you? And then bring right knee to like a sitting happy baby. So inviting that right shin underneath your armpit and pulling that knee back. Now for some of you, it might simply be just hugging the knee and hanging out. You could hug both arms under the knee and hang out. Otherwise, if you can get that knee way back, when you go to straighten the leg, punch that heel up. So it's like half of Baya Parangustasana. Right? Pump the knee back, and then punch the heel up. And then from here, it's like a variation of Crown Shasana. So typically we might have the left leg in Virasana. I'm being a little more casual about it. If you can get the back of your left hand, back of your left wrist on the arch of that right foot, and then right hand catches left wrist, and then lift up, head up, heart up, heel up, fold in half. Any amount. Right leg so straight. Easy, soft, pranic movement. Just let everything quiet down. Stay present with the intensity, with the desire. And let's cross that right foot over left knee. Little twist. Hug left elbow around right knee. Place right hand behind you and a little twist. Or a bigger twist, you decide. And we'll do the other side. So if you simply place right foot in front of you, casually knee bent out to the side, and hug that left knee in, whatever you're up to. So if you work holding the back of the leg and simply deeply flex that left hip, you could play with how much you can straighten your left leg here without having to hold on to your foot. So it becomes a battle between how tight or short the hamstring is and how strong the quadricep is. If you've got good access, good malleability, go for the heel up, knee back pumping. And each time you take the heel up, it like goes a little more straight up. And then eventually, try to pause right there. And if you can turn the back of the right wrist and hand into the inner left arch, left hand grabs it, something like that. And then heart up, head up, navel up, heel up, magnetizing face and shin towards each other without collapsing, right? Without slumping down, without dumping into your lumbar. So you got to find that edge. How tall, how long, how close. It's a constant negotiating for that edge of comfort and transformation. If there's a lot of sensation, can you get it to quiet down? Or do you always just go for more? I don't recommend that. Place the left foot to the outside of that right knee. If your right knee objects, simply straighten that leg. Right hand catches the left leg, and you twist, and twist, and twist. And then from here, catching a block, I think most of you come to lay on your back, knees bent. So here's where I'd like to do a little supported inversion, supported bridge pose. Easiest solution is to put the block leg on its flattest or second side and put your hips right on it. You can maybe take your two legs up in the air. You might have to, depending on your hamstrings, use a belt. This is the simplest. Or just legs up the wall is even simpler. We did some good work with the shoulders in that bridge pose, so if you want to try the old school, Viparita Karani, elbows on the floor, fingers, all 10 of them point to the ceiling, you come into your bridge. But if you hook, you got to scooch each elbow one at a time. The heel of the hand under the hips, and all 5 fingertips are out to the side. So then your elbows serve as the block. This is not for everyone. For those of you who have access, give it a go. Or put the block under your pelvis. And then the both legs up thing is a little bit edgier. Still belly soft. Still a back bend with legs up. So you guys choose your medicine. You guys choose what works best for you. And I'd like to put it in park here for a couple of minutes. And I invite you to connect with the felt sense of where gravity has you. So back of head, hopefully shoulders, certainly your pelvis on the block or your hands. And then where you're defying gravity, right? The legs shooting straight up. But can you still feel how gravity pulls on the fluids? In spite of the reaching up through the legs, the muscular engagement, there's this slow, steady draw, earthbound. With the gentle arch in your spine, making the back bend. Another way to defy gravity, but then feel the settling in the belly, the organ bodies softening. And more blood, with gravity's help, cascading towards the heart. The lymph fluid, with gravity's help, cascading down towards the heart. And so here's you sustaining a shape and feeling your body taking care of itself. When you're ready, when you're over the inversion, simply come to rest. Put your feet on the floor, unfold your legs. If you need to hug your knees in for comfort, you can do that. If you've got a blanket, you could tuck behind your knees if your lumbar is a little crabby. Let the body meet gravity's pull. Let it hold you. And the heart rate might be up here, recovering from the inversion, adapting after the practice. And I know the inclination might be to take deep breaths, and do that if it feels good. I started talking before class about the reality of infection from coronavirus. People can't breathe. So I've been working with really shallow, soft, small, quiet breaths, which is where Shavasana should take us. I'm shoulding on you, sorry. But settle, get quiet, relax. So if you can't relax, more support. And as gravity takes you cell by cell, settling down, let the breath settle. Let the breath get quiet and quiet and quiet. Tiny little small breaths, just by letting everything settle. The name of this pose is Shavasana, pose of the corpse. So practicing deathing, dying to our desires, dying to our aversions, dying to our ego, each moment letting go and go and go and go. Please keep resting. Thank you for joining. Please be well, and I love you. Namaste.